First of all, I just want to bring you the warmest greetings from the Archbishop of Canterbury, who would really have loved to be here, but sadly prior commitments kept him back in London. I'm going to just show you a little case study, as it were, around leadership. But just to give you some background, the Anglican Communion, the Anglican churches around the world, have been engaged for a long time in HIV work. Canon Gideon has been a prophet for us in this work from the early days. But we also have incredibly strong examples. For example, Archbishop Thabo, who's here, the province of Southern Africa, and the work they've done is of really deep quality. And we're committed to learning within the communion, but also sharing and learning from outside. Before I go any further, I want to invite Reverend Patricia Sawa to come and join me here. A dear friend over many years, and as you can see, a co-star in this film. We have partnerships with a number of FBOs, NGOs, with the United Nations, with other donor agencies. This has been very rich for us as we've learnt and shared together on the journey. To talk about the leadership of the Archbishop, he, in times before he was Archbishop, was very engaged in pastoral work, knew and accompanied a number of people in the 80s and 90s on their journey with HIV. I think he met Canon Gideon in the 90s and has continued in regular discourse, meeting many times a year. So he often speaks out on issues of HIV, on stigma discrimination, on gender, on sexual violence, essentially trying to break the silence. This happens periodically, but actually once a year he has had a tradition now of speaking out on World AIDS Day, whether it's a written text, but in the last 3 years we've collaborated with Tear Fund, a Christian FBO, on making films that are launched with the press and then put on the Archbishop's website and sent out through YouTube. In the first one, he spoke directly, but he's also wanted to model what he's passionately committed to, which is about listening, about hearing the experience of people whose lives are directly impacted by HIV, and actually modelling in his own work, in this conversation, what it is to share a human dignity, to have a mutual understanding and journey. In 2009, the topic which the Archbishop selected was about vertical transmission, preventing the transmission of the virus to babies. As Michel Sidibe said, this is a huge opportunity for us to really make a difference, to protect those babies. But it's also about empowering mothers and challenging and engaging fathers and engaging with the church as a whole and with faith communities on how they can accompany people through this journey, and also holding governments to account. So here is the Archbishop in conversation with Patricia Sawa, who is the Tear Fund ambassador. Just before we show the film, I just want to ask Patricia how it was to sit and have this conversation. How did it feel for you?
It was the greatest moment in my life. I knew that I was not going to be able to present on World AIDS Day, but just having the feeling that the man of God has given me the chance to sit down with him, and the feeling of being in Lambeth Palace. I felt dignified, I felt loved, I felt embraced, I felt there was somebody who was ready to listen.
And if I could just say, the Archbishop has spoken again and again of this encounter because it touched him deeply, when he speaks with Gideon and others, absolutely in the core. And I think he would talk about his own journey of transformation through that learning. So let's now see the film. We've all been on a journey together, and I do just want to commend the work of Anarella, our colleagues here, because they're the ones who have really inspired us and taught us what it's like from the inside. So I just thank you for that fellowship and love and trust that you've given to us. Thank you.